Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Wednesday Twitter Spaces. Today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We have an open floor, so anybody at any given time is able to come out and voice their thoughts, voice their opinions, voice anything that they want. We have a bunch of our loyal community members here with us. We also have Bleeves who's joining us today. Bleeves, how you doing, my man? Everything good with you?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
Yes, sir. So I have a little bit of a topic we could start this off of. Obviously, in the past 2 days, we've been seeing some FUD coming from the SEC to Binance and Coinbase and things like that. So, what's your initial first impression, first take on all this stuff? Do you think it's just like a gimmick or a game that they're trying to play just for regulations, or do you think they're just going full force after these companies?
It's actually a layered thing right now because first, everything that they're saying about Binance, they have the receipts on. So what they're implying is exactly what Binance appears to have been doing. Whether it's malicious or not is going to be debatable, and I don't think that they're going to debate whether it was malicious or not. Even if they were accidentally commingling, then that's still commingling. That's still a violation of the securities laws. So I think Binance is in trouble, and the fact that they are stopping OTC trading right now and decoupling over 100 pairs means that they recognize their own guilt. So I think that we've got a negative situation with Binance, but it doesn't mean too much in the broader market because Binance is not even that big in the United States. If you look at the United States trading, most of that comes to Coinbase. Then there's the lawsuit with Coinbase, and the lawsuit with Coinbase is very targeted and specific into their staking mechanism and all of the proof of stake tokens that they've been doing. And Coinbase has, and I think that Coinbase is probably a little bit misguided because one of their argument, their continued argument has been, well, we need clarity in the market. Well, you actually have clarity. There was a law in 1946. The law hasn't changed. What they want is they want additional regulation in the industry, and until such time as that additional legislation comes along or regulation comes along, then they think that they should be, or that we should be as a crypto space, not held accountable for these laws, and that's just not the case. So when Brian Armstrong comes out, and I admire him at this point, but when he comes out and he says, we just want clarity. Well, you have clarity. You just don't like the clarity that you have. Those laws are old, they're ancient, and but they're there.
And then just because they're not enforcing it like they should, people like at Coinbase are ignoring that it's there and put in place, right? It's pretty much what you're trying to say. Yeah.
And the final piece is Patrick McHenry and Glenn Thompson sponsored a bill that they put onto the debate stage on June 2nd. And so they have forced the SEC's hands. I don't believe that the SEC was ready to take these enforcement actions. I believe that they were preparing them. So I think that this caused them to just fire back. BitBoy says that he's got an inside source who says that this was Gary Gensler lashing out because Patrick McHenry's got this new law coming out, or this new framework for legislation. I don't think that that's actually true. I don't think that, by the way, I do have to say that even though Gary Gensler makes himself out to be the clown that we all think that he is, I don't think that he's a bad actor in the space. I think that he's a puppet behind, he has to do what the administration says, and this administration is really, and by the way, this is not political, although it is political party. They're bought and paid for by banks, and it's whether they'll do what the donors want them to do, and their big, the big donor now is banks. So they're doing what their donors want.
Right now, yeah, exactly. Right now, they have one main priority, and that main priority is to make sure that how they can keep the money in the United States centralized. Right? They don't like decentralization, and if they are going to have to deal with decentralization, they want to be in charge of that sector as well. And obviously, yeah, you're right. Gary Gensler, acting as a puppet. I mean, he was appointed by the administration, so he's obviously going to be acting on behalf of them and doing whatever they tell him to do. So, yeah, I 100% agree with that. As far as like the Coinbase stuff goes, yeah, definitely they are being targeted towards just their staking stuff. It's not new news; it's old news. Obviously, we've known about this for months, and we've known that some type of action would be taken against them for that. Obviously, which is like kind of like why the entire sector turned away from staking and turned away from like these mechanics that lock people's tokens up. And like for example, if you lock up your Ethereum on Coinbase, you can't touch it, right, until that lock expires. So it's pretty much like a bond. It's pretty much like the same thing that a bank does, and that's their main issue is like, hey, these people are locking up their money in these these unregulated exchanges rather than locking their money up in banks and having the governments and the banks control the money. But the biggest problem with that is, people are locking their money up into banks, and you're seeing massive banks like Silicon Valley Bank have a bank run, and then having FUD for other big banks to kind of follow in the same footsteps. Like, where's the win-win situation? But I think this is all just going to blow away in a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. Obviously, these exchanges have some of the best legal counsel in the world hired under their companies. So obviously, these people hadn't been operating without knowing that this might be coming sometime in the future. So I'm sure they have a plan on how they're going to move forward and how they're going to kind of overcome these obstacles.
Yeah, there's been breadcrumbs coming down the pipeline this entire time. If you even go back to Kraken settlement, the Kraken settlement was about staking. Every one of these actions and enforcement actions, except Binance, have all been about staking in some fashion, in some way. And it's not just that you're locking your crypto up on that centralized exchange. I mean, Coinbase was approved by the U.S. government in 2021 to be a publicly traded company. Now, that does not mean that their staking service would. So, their arguments, and some of the arguments are kind of hollow, but they are arguments that you'll have to make. Like first they say that, well, you were the one that licensed us. Well, yeah, we licensed you, but we can still come back and say that some of the shit that you're doing is wrong. Like, we're not a clearinghouse to make sure that you're doing everything right. We have a list here, and if you follow this list, then you get approved. So they got approved, but now they're looking at the staking aspect, and of course, Ethereum has changed the game, I think, for the SEC and the way that they're looking, because when you have the two big dogs in the room that are proof of work, and you can just keep doing it that way, then you don't have a clear security. But when you move everything to proof of stake, now you have to lock up your crypto. You have to give it to somebody, and they reward you for it. Well, that's a security. No matter how you cut it, it is a security. So they do need to have, and I hope Patrick McHenry and Glenn Thompson, who, by the way, now have called for open debate on the floor on, I think it's June the 14th, and they're even going to have some SEC members there to explain, why they're doing this, because it would appear to them that this is just an intimidation tactic being used. And of course, Joe Kahanist, she hasn't done any, Liz Warren, she hasn't done anybody any favors by saying that she's trying to build an army to go after crypto. She's blaming cryptocurrency for fentanyl, but fentanyl is traded on the street in U.S. dollars, and I don't hear that bitch complaining about U.S. dollars. So, there's this big facade that's going on. Unfortunately, it's the people in power. And, for me, and the message that I give to everybody now is, look, this should be, if you're into crypto or if you're into liberty and freedom at this point, there should be a one subject voting process for you for the next couple of years. Pro crypto, pro freedom, pro your money is your money, and stop having the government in your pocket for everything. That really should be cut and dried. So at this point, we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's come out pro Bitcoin. I don't know how he feels about the broader crypto market. Ron DeSantis has come out pro Bitcoin and pro the entire market. Donald Trump said in February that he thinks Bitcoin is a threat to the U.S. dollar. So at this point, he's not pro Bitcoin. But I really think all he has to do is come out and say, well, you know what? I've listened to people and I've kind of changed my tune about this. I think that there are some benefits to it. And then I think that he becomes a player in that game. I think Marianne Williamson is a player.
Did he? Sorry to cut you off, but did he say that before or after his NFT debut?
Well, the NFT doesn't mean that he changed his mind. The
Right.
NFT means he took an opportunity to make money.
Right.
That doesn't mean that he's decided that crypto is good. You can still think something is a threat to the U.S. dollar and take advantage of it. He's an opportunist. He's not, I think that if there's anything, the only principle that Donald Trump really operates by is protection of self and staying clean, because he is a clean freak. So, but I don't think beyond that, he's amenable. And that's actually to the benefit of a lot of people. One of the things that people are not talking about, because it's very uncomfortable, because they want to, he's a polarizing person, but he's actually been talking down people who are making fun of Joe Biden right now. He's going after people who are disrespecting Joe Biden because of his age, because he's trying to show that this is not appropriate. That's a great step for him to take. And it's shocking people right now, because they're like, oh, Joe Biden, he's falling all over the place. He's like, yeah, that's not this. And he's like, that's not cool to talk about. You shouldn't talk about people like that. And then they're like, oh, sorry, Mr. President. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
He's shocking people right now.
No, definitely, man. And I think I think the next election is going to be a lot influenced by crypto as well. Like, you have this larger majority of people who are for crypto, and then you have a large majority of people who are against it, right? Obviously, Right now, like, we always see and talk to the people who are for it, right? Because that's just the community that we're in. Our tweets, our communities, our everything that we do is, we interact with people who use crypto, who like crypto, who are for crypto. But there's a community of people out there who don't even know about crypto. And the people who don't know about crypto, the only thing that they know is, hey, it's unregulated, and it's like you said, some people are coming out and saying it's a threat to the U.S. dollar. So there are the people who are ignorant and don't want to do the research to see what it is, who are just going to be cutting straight to the point. But the next election, I think, for the next U.S. election, is going to have a lot of weight pushed through crypto. Like you have, like you said, DeSantis, he's going to come out and he's going to be pro-crypto. And then you have, obviously, all the people who are pro-crypto are going to want to vote for him just based off of that, right? And not to say, it's fair or unfair, but it's a political strategy that these people are taking in order to kind of gain favor, gain votes, and gain some type of traction in how the future plays out. Especially with crypto, honestly, in best case scenario for me, whether they decide to regulate this stuff this year, next year, or 10 years from now, doesn't matter to me. The most important thing is hey, just accept it. If you have to put new rules in play to make this thing acceptable for not just the United States but globally, then do it and let everybody else who's building in the space and let everybody who's actually involved in the space follow those guidelines. Obviously, don't make them ridiculous where it's to a point where nobody wants to touch it, but put your rules in place. Obviously, nobody wants to be run by the government anymore at this point. We're already giving everything and anything that we do to the government and from the government. So it's at what given time could we go to the bank in the middle of the night and withdraw $10,000 of cash? You can never do that because no bank, first of all, is open. Second of all, they take your money when you're going to deposit it. You could deposit $100,000 cash, no problem, but go the next day and try to withdraw $100,000 cash. I guarantee you 1,000,000% they're not going to give it to you. They're going to say, oh, come back in 2 days. They're going to say, oh, we don't have it right now. Or what do you need $100,000 in cash for? This is why crypto is super important, because people need to be in charge of their own finances, so they're responsible for it. Obviously, I'm not saying go stake your money on Coinbase or go stake your money on Binance or whatever, but be decentralized to a point where you're in control of your own finances, or you're in control, even if you're not using crypto in a financial way, even if you're just hoarding random tokens just to have them. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter how you're using it or what you're using it for. The main purpose of crypto has always been decentralization, and then it kind of like whirlwinded and tornadoed into a million other things, which is fine. That's good. That just shows that the sector is growing and people are finding different use cases. But essentially, what blockchain was built for was to create decentralization, and I think we need to focus on that as a community. And obviously, there are a lot of people who make a lot of efforts into making that known globally, but there are also a lot of people who are just silent to the fact and kind of like sit on the sidelines and wait to see things unfold.
Yeah, I would agree with that. One of the things I will say about this is, take this for what it's worth. The reason that people are not getting into crypto is because, number one, the information that they're getting does come from someone like a Liz Warren. And you don't see that she's a liar. You don't see that she's a charlatan because she's a woman. She's a Democrat. She speaks for equality for all, and you want to believe her regardless of who her donors are. She speaks the language of the people who want to believe in her. So she doesn't really have to work for their trust. She already has it, even if she violates their trust over and over again with her opinion and the things that she backs. So she already got this strong group of people, and then with that strong group of people, she can then go to the media, and then she can tell them whatever this bad thing is. And if the media, because they're unchecked at this point, and the profit motive has been exposed to the media, and you can now see through who is a good actor and who is a bad actor in the media just by the way they start to manipulate the news. So if you get an article and the article says that, Binance did exactly what they're saying, that we should expect some enforcement for that, well, then that's a fair article. But when you get this article that says that CZ Binance actively worked to conceal and creates this giant conspiracy, they're on a side. And if you see somebody who says this is all a big nothing burger, they're on a side. They're taking sides. They're not objective. And we don't get objective news when it comes to cryptocurrency, even in the crypto space, by the way. The block.co, which is a big crypto space, bought and paid for. CoinDesk is a goddamn charlatan. Cointelegraph is just as bad. There's so many different places here that are manipulated, especially Barry Silbert. And the Digital Currency Group, they're big holders in crypto news organizations, and they manipulate everything. Until Duquan was actually arrested, they were making up articles about his arrest for months. I mean, in months and months and months. There was never a red notice. There was never, all of the stuff that was happening never happened. Yeah, they were just making
driving traffic with clickbait titles and bullshit articles. Yeah. So where do you get your news from, as far as when you go in and try to figure out what's going on today in any given day in crypto? Like what's your go-to source?
So I still go to the block, but I look for something that causes me to be manipulated. I go to Bloom Block, but I look for something that's going to have me manipulated. Bloom Block, by the way, is AI generated, so it doesn't have a bias at this point. So I'm okay with them, but it's tough. It's a tough read because it's still a work in progress. I go to Decrypt. I go to Be in Crypto. I use about 20 different sources. Plus, I use a couple of RSS feeds for my show every day and night, just to make sure that I have all the articles. And then I just kind of mill through the articles and decide what's important, and then make the determination. I'm gatekeeping myself. So I'm watching the gatekeepers gatekeeping, and then I'm complaining about the gatekeepers. So I don't have any room to talk either.
Yeah. I mean, I've read so many of these garbage articles through the years where it's come to a point, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to, but it's come to a point where when you open up an article, when you open up a newsfeed or whatever, just reading through the first paragraph or the first few sentences, you can automatically, well, for me at least, I can automatically decipher and tell if this is just a clickbait bullshit article that somebody wrote and put out there, or if it's something that actually has some meaning to it. And I can already tell that from literally reading just the first few sentences of any article related to crypto, because you're right, man. There's a lot of stuff that's put out there by people who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, and they're just making stuff up and putting stuff out there because people are clicking it and reading it and sharing it.
Absolutely. Let me give you the one that blew my mind today, because like normally I'll just like, this is a bullshit article, and I will tell people that that's the case. But this one had me this one had me angry, and for no reason, by the way. The headline says Binance.us raked in $410 million of revenue since inception, account shows. Well, first of all, who the fuck says raked in when they're trying to be objective about something? Because this article didn't start off with Binance.us lost $181 million last year, or Binance.us profits $410 million in revenue since inception. Like, raked in, those are the biting words where you're using clickbait and you're trying to change somebody's impression.
Right.
And
so when somebody reads that, they think like, oh, Binance took all that money in and kind of like they were spoon-fed that money, rather than, you know, keeping out all of the main important details on like what it takes to operate a business of that scale. Obviously, you know, Binance is not a small business by any means. It's probably one of the most profitable and one of the biggest businesses in the world at this point. Whether it's profitable or not, I mean, revenue-wise is what I'm referring to. But yeah, man, I mean, it's crazy. But look, this is what it is for me, man. You know, as much as I'm pro crypto, I've never been pro exchange, man. You know, like I don't mind that they're there, but my biggest like pursuit in this space, there could be zero exchanges, and I wouldn't care, as long as there's UniSwap and as long as there's a decentralized way for people to interact. Then that is honestly what the space only needs. But obviously, you know, we have Binance, we have Coinbase. I use Coinbase personally. I'm in the United States, so I use Coinbase, and I use it pretty often. Right? It's pretty practical. It's pretty easy. It does your taxes for you in the sense, sends you everything. Like, it's easy. I like to use it, but I don't like the idea of like, hey, you take something that's decentralized and then you turn it fully centralized by giving all your information to this company, which, you know, they can later sell to the government or sell to whatever agencies, whether they will or they won't. Like, you know, you never know that. So, I mean, do you think personally that if Binance if tomorrow we woke up and there were zero exchanges left in the world, but there was still a way where people can turn their USD and whatever currencies they want into crypto, but through only a decentralized way, do you think crypto will still have a fighting chance to grow in the future, or do you think the future of crypto kind of like relies solely on these top tier exchanges to succeed?
Crypto is not, if that happened tomorrow, crypto's not dead, but it's on life support. I mean, Bitcoin's $5,000. Ethereum is down to $200 or $300. You know, the bottom drops out on everything, because the important part to realize for almost everybody, and what everybody should realize, is no matter how much we think of a decentralized game, this is not a decentralized game anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. Right. This is an institutional and venture capital game. We have a small piece of this pie. And once we wipe out enormous demand, then the only thing left is whatever somebody's willing to pay. And retail is not willing to pay for $30,000 Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. So that would be not the death knell for crypto, but that would turn it back into something that's underground. And now it won't happen, by the way, because there's too many pro-crypto countries that are already adopting. So, you know, the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak, and there's too many many people who are still supportive of it, even in the United States. So, it's not going to happen. But if it did, then we would be seeing and we would be witnessing obliteration of a lot of crypto wallets very, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that it's already gone too far down the rabbit hole where it's like if you pull the plug, then it's game over. But they just need to figure this out, and I think they will. And I think they're going to do it very quickly. Now that the rabbit is out of the hat, everybody is going to have their hands on deck to make sure, like, okay, what do we do now to proceed? What do we do now to make this all work? Because there's no way it's all going away. That's not an option. The only option is how do we make it so that everybody is happy and everybody is compliant and everybody is moving forward. And I think once that does happen, that's when we're going to start seeing crypto go crazy in a way where everybody is adopting it. Because right now, since a lot of it is not regulated, it's keeping a lot of these venture funds and keeping a lot of these people out and away from buying and holding large amounts of Bitcoin, large amounts of ETH, large amounts of altcoins, because of the fact that it's unregulated. But once it becomes regulated and people actually have like more of a reason to buy it, you'll see a lot of venture funds like BlackRock, and obviously BlackRock is not the greatest venture fund. I mean, a lot of people hate them, but regardless, they have money, and regardless, they're able to push demand and push money into sectors. So once we start seeing big amounts of money like that flow into the sector, obviously I'm not going to be surprised if we see the whole crypto market reach like a 10x at this point, depending on if all that is to happen.
Yeah, I think what everybody should be watching out though for, here's what we're not seeing right now. If this is the end of Binance.us, this is just the start of Bank of America centralized exchange, Fidelity Financial Services centralized exchange, Chase centralized exchange, all of Goldman Sachs is going to have a centralized exchange. What the banks don't hate cryptocurrency, they just don't control it. And if they can pay the people in charge to create obstacles that slow down adoption, that give them a chance to increase their position and put themselves into a better standing and holding, and give them a little more time to catch up because they have to create their own CBDCs. That Fed now is already dead. That's just going to replace ACH, which was a slow process. I don't think that's even going to last very long. I think the next step is that there's going to be a Chase dollar. There's going to be a Bank of America dollar. They're all going to be backed. It's just going to be it's going to be like Tether. It's just all going to be pegged to a US dollar. And then each one of these places, they're going to have their own exchanges, and they'll be fully compliant and fully regulated with the way the government wants it to be, because they're already ready to do that. And then maybe Coinbase survives, maybe Crypto.com survives, but after that, maybe MEXC might even survive. MEXC is out here blowing things up, massive volume. So maybe some of these guys will survive, but generally speaking, that's what you're about. That's the next leg. The next leg is when the banks come in and start taking over, and they're going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at, they'll be looking at Crypto.com and be like, oh, look at Crypto.com. Oh, fuck this place. This looks like a piece of shit. And then they're going to buy it, and they're going to turn it into Chase.com or something like that.
Yeah, and for people listening, like, you may initially your first thought will be like, oh, that's so bad if that happens, if the banks are taking over. Yeah, it may be, but for me personally, it doesn't matter to me if Coinbase survives or if Binance survives. The only thing that matters to me is if crypto survives, and that is it's obviously going to survive. There's no way that it's, you guys have all heard of the it's too big to fail thing. That's what crypto is at this point. It's too big to fail, in my opinion. So I personally think, the banks coming in and wanting a piece of the pie and wanting to be involved and wanting to be the exchanges and wanting to be the outlet that people take to make their venture into crypto, then so be it. Let them do it, right? Let them do it, because all that's going to do is it's going to give crypto exposure to millions and billions of more people, where I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that, because guess what? It's going to bring more volume to our space. It's going to bring more adoption to our space, and it's just going to make it a lot easier and a lot less intimidating for newer people who want to dabble in and play with crypto and kind of learn about it and be involved with it. If that's what it takes, then so be it, to be honest.
A lot of regulation. It'll make you comfortable, but one of the things that we look for in this space is that outlaw sort of cavalier. We're going to make it, baby. We're all going to make it, and that's going to disappear because everything will be controlled by these banks. That's the part that people aren't understanding. And that DeFi space will die death than you think. Not because we're not in support of decentralization, but because the banks will make it more attractive for you. They'll register as securities. They'll give you rewards. They will make it 100% worth doing. And then once you're used to it, and once everything is once everything is great, once everything is good, and I'm going to go back for anybody who's old enough to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Bank interest rates were outrageous. You could put $1 million in the bank and live off the interest for the rest of your life. Now, you get less than 1%. They've cut that completely out. But with crypto, what they'll do is they'll make you adopt it by giving you these sweet deals, and you'll have tons of money that you can make through the banks early on, and then they'll slowly but surely break it down.
Right. And I mean, there's a reason why they're not giving those types of interest rates anymore, is because it's just not sustainable. And that's also a big reason on why, a lot of these exchanges that have closed down recently, filed for bankruptcy. That's another reason why they filed for bankruptcy, is because they were offering these super high interest rates to people that were staking their tokens on those exchanges. And then they eventually ran out of money because they realized as well that it's just unsustainable, right? So I don't know if they'll do that exactly. I don't know if they'll offer people, 5%, 6%, 10%, whatever types of interest rates, because eventually they're always just going to run into a wall when they're offering people that much rewards. But I do think that they will sweeten the deal somehow, some way. I don't know exactly how or what they'll do, but I don't know if they're going to do those crazy interest rates. They may do them. But we're just going to have to wait and see. But honestly, it's not like anything is happening tomorrow. This is probably going to be a couple-year process before we see any types of changes even begin to happen or even get talked about happening. I don't expect anything to come out anytime soon. More or less, we saw a rebound from crypto after the initial news came out, right? When the initial news came out, everything started dipping massively. And we saw a rebound and stabilization. So that's an extremely good sign that people didn't freak out completely. But believe it or not, I'm more bullish now than I was a week ago, because the way that I'm looking at this is like, hey, this is headline news all over the world, and whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, it's publicity in general. And I think crypto headlining any type of news at any given time is positive for the space. Obviously, we don't want like the worst news ever, but I think it's going to be driving a little bit of more attention to the space and to the sector. Not that we're going crazy for attention right now. Obviously, crypto's in the stage right now where it's more or less kind of like in a lull and is more or less consolidating until people see what happens next. But I mean, myself and our team, we've been working hard, and we've been building, and we've been continuously thinking. We're trying to think 2 steps ahead of the game and trying to think into the future of what we can expect, and we're building things that we think people will be able to find value in the future, for the future. So that whole like we're all going to make it, that whole like, hey, we're going to wake up tomorrow and be millionaire type thing that you were talking about. Mentality that a lot of people in DeFi have. We don't have that type of mentality in our community, because our community knows like, we take our time, we build our stuff out, and what we're trying to do is build a massive ecosystem within our community, within our project, of cool projects, of things that people can interact with, find value in, connect with people, talk to people, meet people, just somewhere where they can build and grow, and somewhere where they can actually mature as much as they can in the crypto space as well. So obviously, yeah, best case scenario is everybody wakes up one day and they're all millionaires. If I can make that happen, and I do it in the snap of a finger, but obviously not myself nor anybody else on our team is in control of doing that, right? So what we are in control of is trying to do our best to manage a project and build a project out in the most honest and ethical way possible, without having to kind of like, stand up here every week and lie to people about it, or do some shady stuff behind closed curtains. That's not us. That's not what we're about. We'll take the longer road. We'll take the road that takes us 3, 4, 5 times as long as other people, but we'll make sure we do it right. Which is, in a lot of ways what Binance had did, and in a lot of ways what Coinbase had did, in a way where they were like, hey, you know what? Like, we're just going to stretch it out for the long run. Like, this is what the rule is. Until they come and tell us something, we're just going to keep building and building and building. So not that we're breaking any rules or anything, but until anyone tells us otherwise, we're just going to keep building and building and building and trying to bring as much value as we possibly can to not just our project, but the entire ecosystem that we're in, and the entire sector that we're in. If we can come up with an idea that'll bring billions of dollars of volume to our sector, that's not just a massive win for ShibaDoge and the ShibaDoge ecosystem. It's a massive win for everybody. So, we're just going to keep working hard, and I'm sure everything will play out how it's supposed to play out.
Yeah, if you do, the way I always see it is, even if things are not going to be what we think they are, and they're going to be more like what I'm talking about with the banks taking over, and even if it plays out that way, at the end of the day, there's still opportunity in DeFi until DeFi starts to dry, and there's always going to be. Really, we haven't created money yet, so for anybody who's in this space, there's a very limited amount. XRP, I think, kind of created an onboard process of transferring funds, and I think they created value because they're speeding up a lot of the process. Like, that was an innovation. Some of the blockchain technology to create the opportunity to make videos as part of the blockchain, music as part of the blockchain, those are potential revenue producers. But I don't know we have the security right now to, how are you going to control, it? Like, how do you profit from it? And then, what does everybody bring to the table? But put it this way, if everybody has a swap, nobody has a swap. You know what I mean? So you have to find these places, and we have to create value that brings real world money into the space, not just because people want to buy crypto, but because there's an investment that we've created in this space that's worthy of someone's money. And that's what we're really lacking at this point.
Yeah, I agree in a sense where, a lot of people are just doing the same thing. Like I like what you just said. I like that you said if everybody has an exchange, then nobody has an exchange, or a swap. I'm sorry, and I agree with that, because it's like like every project that was coming out in the last year was like, hey, roadmap item number 1, open up the reindeer swap or peach swap or printer swap or whatever, and everybody was just doing that. So it made the people who had originally done it and originally kind of like introduced that to their project, it made them irrelevant, right? And it made their successes mean nothing, which is fine. That's kind of like how it works. Not only in the space, but just in general. People are blown away by something new, and then eventually 2 weeks later they're normalized to it, and it means nothing. But yeah, I think what creators are losing touch with in this space is to try to bring something new and creative and innovative to the space, and they're focusing more or less on like, hey, this project did this and they had a success, let's do it too. That's what they're focusing on, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the same stuff come out week after week, day after day, in our sector and in the crypto space. So once you know, we try not to be that way. We try not to follow what everybody else is doing, unless it's like a must-have, unless it's a must-do, like you have to do it or you're going to get left in the wind, we'll do it. But we don't try to copy anybody. We don't try to feed off or leech off other people's ideas ever. But yeah, like I want to say probably 9 out of 10 projects do that. I don't want to point any fingers or anything, but once creators and once developers and once people who have these creative visions to bring these new projects or protocols or whatever into the space, once they get a little bit more diverse with their ideas and think of some new stuff and actually use their developing skills to build something that's game changing, that's when we're going to see our space, the DeFi space, take it to the next level, which right now a lot of people are just, you know, just copying each other left and right. It's sad to see, but it's working for them in a way, not long term, but short term, you know, it's working for them and they're making a little bit of money, but you know, that's not the ethical way of doing it, in my opinion. And you know, there are people who think alike from my point of view, and you know, their time will come and our time will come as well.
Yeah, you know, I mean, here's the reality is everybody is legitimately trying to be better. I think, but you know, we have bad actors. Everybody has bad actors, but generally, people who start up a project want what's best for the investors and for themselves when they're starting up a project. It's not a cash grab for most people. It's just not a cash grab. It's a place where, you know, I want to create value. I want to create community. You know, I want to do all of the things that I saw happen before that maybe I thought was wrong that I want to do right. And you know, the easiest thing, because literally in 3 hours you can program a fully working swap. So it doesn't take any time to have a swap up and ready to go. The reason that a swap takes long for anybody is because there's only a few people who are building them, and those people have a schedule, so they're making them for everybody. So, you know, building a swap is a very simple thing at this point. So, you know, that's the easy thing for a place to lean into and say right away, well, we've got a use case when it comes in, and that allows people that allows shady people to come in, that allows different people to come in and say, I'm presenting value for my customers. You know, it's a dishonest thing that came from something that was actually a pretty honest place. You know, everybody wants to have some kind of DeFi swap. I mean, first of all, you got to do something about UniSwap, because we just found out with the Ben token that they're not nearly as decentralized as we thought they were, because they shut down trading on Ben for, I want to say, 5 or 6 days. Now, there's a valid reason for that, in my opinion. They had a valid reason for doing it, but they also shouldn't be able to do that. That's not decentralized.
Yeah,
they
shouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, they should.
That's wholly centralized. So,
and also they had that whole incident back when the Russia and Ukraine war started, where they stopped allowing people that lived in Russia to use UniSwap. So that was right. Also something that was a little concerning. But honestly, I didn't hear about this Ben token thing that they stopped people from allowing to trade it. What happened there? Why did they do that?
So I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to talk to BitBoy quite a bit lately in this whole Ben coin thing. And so what happened was the Ben logo was done by a guy named ETH Ben. It's not his real name, of course, but he's a developer, and he created Ben. Then he created another token right afterward called PsyOp. Then he created another one called Loyal. Then he created another one, I think, called Finale. And now he's helping somebody create. He just goes through creating new tokens and stuff like that. But some of them, I think it's part of an ecosystem that he wants to create, but I don't know yet. But the point is, BitBoy got into it because it was named Ben, and his real name is Ben. So he thought, what a great idea. And then he decided he was going to buy it, and he was going to turn it into something called Be Everywhere Now. Right. And what it is, the purpose behind it is for the enhancement of crypto adoption, to use it for advertising, to get people like Liz Warren out of office, to get people who are anti-crypto, to get them out of office, to get people who are more pro-crypto on the agenda. Like, it's a very noble purpose and design. So the problem was he had to buy it from ETHBen, and he paid $1.8 million for it, 1,000 ETH. So, and he gave ETHBen 5% of the supply. And then they agreed to be partners in this ecosystem. Well, the thing about ETHBen was that he used the logo, apparently the dog from, I want to say it's Up or some Disney Pixar movie, is named Ben. And I don't know because I've never seen it. I didn't know. I mean, I knew it had to be somebody. It had to be co-opted because everything that's a meme is co-opted from somebody. So, I didn't know where it was from, but it turns out it was from a movie from Pixar, and Pixar put a trademark on it, that it was a trademark infringement. And the UniSwap honored the trademark and shut it down for 5 days for trading. You could still see it. You could still trade it on almost every other swap except Uniswap. So Uniswap was the only place that was able to or willing to shut it down for that purpose. Now, it turns out they were the only one that was threatened by, I think it was Pixar, Disney, Pixar, one or the other. They were the only one threatened by it. But that put this, that what that did was prove that it is not nearly as decentralized as what we thought. Even if you agree, because I agree, like you shouldn't be able to use somebody else's IP. Like I 100% agree with that. You can parody it. You can do whatever, if you're creating it in the spirit and parody and stuff like that, like Hulk Inu. Hulk Inu is not a copyright. It's a dog that looks like the Hulk. It's a parody. Right. And they, in fact, worked with Marvel Comics to make sure that it was okay, because they also had Wolverine, and then they have a whole ecosystem where they were making like Marvel parodies, and Marvel was cool with it. They met with them to make sure. Right. But Ben didn't do this. ETHBen didn't do this with whatever. I want to say it's Up. I want to say it's the dog from Up. So, but then at the end, they were able to shut it down. So now we got that got BitBoy mad. So he wants a new. So here, just to give you guys a story, not to pat myself on the back. So we're sitting not this Friday, but last Friday night. He's mad as hell. And I'm like, dude, fuck this. Why don't you just make Ben swap? And he's like, bro, I got to go. And 30 minutes later, he's posting on Twitter. I'm driving my car, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on. I'm parked at a red light, and I look at Twitter, and he's asking, does anybody know how to program a decentralized exchange? I'm like, dude, you owe me for this. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh man, that's funny.
I'm like, bro, what the fuck? He's like, well, I got you, man. I got you. We got to do this for the betterment of crypto. So, all right, man. Whatever. Whatever you want to do. I don't give a shit. Like, one of these days. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be on BitBoy Cryptos around the blockchain on June 16th. By the way, if you guys ever want to follow me and check that out.
Yeah, for sure, man. Just DM me or Roof the link to it, and then we'll share it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so being decentralized is something that matters to him. He doesn't want the government involved. So now this is his initiative, and it's what he wants to do, and it's turning into his life's passion at this point. So we'll see how it goes.
No, I think, there should be more people like that believe strongly in something and take it into their own hands to try to make a difference. There isn't enough people like that in this world. A lot of people just follow what everybody else is doing in a sense. So yeah, big props to him for believing in something and actually going, out and about and out of his way to make his. I mean, he built a crazy name for himself and did very well for himself on his platforms. So, I'm sure everybody knows who BitBoy is. I mean, I've been looking at his stuff for years now. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to get his point across if he already has.
Well, the only thing that I've said to him is like, dude, because he's very passionate about his stuff, and like the only thing that I said was like, dude, don't disrespect me or don't disrespect all of us that are up and coming, because I thought, dude, because he talks a lot of, he just says things off the cuff. And I'm like, dude, you can't, that's not fucking cool. Like, you can't, don't disrespect me openly because I don't happen to be a multimillionaire like you, right? It took you 9 years to become a millionaire. I haven't been here 9 years. I've been here less than 2. So chill the fuck out. But, but when we were talking about it, I I was like, dude, don't think that because I can't do the same thing that you do, that I'm not as committed as you. I just don't have the resources that you have to follow the path that you're following. You know, that's it. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, but here's the, at the end, and then what he said was, bro, let me tell you, it's very simple. Find me another influencer in crypto, whether you like me or whether you don't like me. And I like him, so it was okay. But he was like, whether you like me or you don't like me, find another influencer in cryptocurrency who is comfortable enough that every Friday at 4 p.m. they have up-and-coming YouTubers on their crypto show in order to promote them and give them more exposure. Find me anybody out there doing that. And I mean, you know what? He's right. You can't. Like, this is the guy.
And if you can, they're just so minuscule and they're so small where you wouldn't even be able to, you get what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
There's nobody on his wavelength as far as like,
whether you like him or not, he is the best thing going in crypto right now. And I don't know how long that lasts. Maybe Guy at Coin Bureau steps up at some point. Maybe Altcoin Daily Twins step up at some point. Maybe Wendy. Well, never mind. Wendy O's not going to step up. But maybe some of these other people will start to step up and do that. But I mean, BitBoy launched Wendy O. BitBoy launched Tom Crown. BitBoy launched Frankie Candles. Mac and Cheesy. All these different guys who've made their way through crypto. They all got their start through around the blockchain. I mean, they legitimately had their own channels. They were working through, and they needed that rub. They needed that bump in order to take them to that next level. And he gave
breakthrough. Yeah, he gave a breakthrough. Yeah.
And he's given me an opportunity. Like, if I screw it up, I screw it up. But at least he's given me that opportunity.
Yeah. No, I mean, you shouldn't take it for granted. You should definitely try to take full advantage of it and then try to make as much of it, most of it as you possibly can, right? Because those opportunities, they don't come every day, and some people work their whole lives to get certain opportunities. So
exactly,
never let an opportunity pass you by, man. Regardless of whether you can grow yourself 1% or 1,000% out of it, just make sure you take every opportunity you get. And that's advice to everybody, not just you.
Oh yeah, I did a movie last year for Volt, and like the trailer's not even ready for the movie yet. But I did a movie for Volt where I got killed live on like in the movie, I got killed by a serial killer for Volt. And and I've been partners with them for like 15 months, and they let me go this month. So
why they let you go? Just from the state of the market, kind of like not much going on type of deal, or just you don't even know?
Some of what I would tell you would be speculative at best in this regard. So I might be way off, but I am one of the more inexpensive for the amount of quote unquote influence that I may have in the space. I am probably one of the least expensive people compared to like Jake Gagan, Rodney, Awesome Austin, the people that are kind of in my lane, getting 150, 200 people on every live and stuff like that. So I charge way less than they do, right? But Volt had them all hired, except Austin. Austin's doing his own thing now. But everybody's on the payroll at Volt. Everybody is, and they've been there for a long time, but it's not moving the charts. It's not making anything pump. So at what point do you just say, well, we got to try something else? So they decided to try something else. And I mean, I'm still, I still keep a bag. I'm still Volted, quote unquote. I still make a video whenever I feel the need to make a video because, at the end of the day, a lot of people got into Volt. I partnered with them again for 16 months. They went to a 250 million market cap. There are a lot of people that invested in Volt because of me over that period of time. It's tough to see it when it's a month. You know what I mean? Right. But when you do it for a long period of time and you've got this long-term relationship and partnership, then eventually your passion or the passion that I have rubs off on other people, and all of a sudden you get so many more people investing in your product because people do pay attention to them. So
let's see. Look, we also our all-time high. I don't know if you're aware or not, but our all-time high is also 250. I think 260 million.
260.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 260.
Yeah, 260. Yeah, and one thing that we tried extremely hard not to do during our growth phase when we first launched was we had a lot of opportunity to hire a lot of people on YouTube, like YouTubers like yourself or other people to kind of like be on a payroll like that, but we chose not to. And the reason we chose not to is because we didn't want people to have a bias coming in, like saying like, hey, this guy told me, or even if they did, we had a lot of people making videos on us, but there was only maybe like one or two people that we had actually only ever paid to make videos for us. Everybody else, like, they were just making it because we were reaching out and we were telling them like, hey guys, like, this is our project, look into it. If you like it, make a video. If you don't have to, and a lot of them were, but we never wanted to have that behind us where it was like people came back and said, hey, the ShibaDoge guys paid everyone and that's why they got big. Like we wanted to make sure that we do it organically. Not only, it's not that it's a bad thing, right? Like people hire people for marketing and exposure all the time.
Right, it's marketing.
It's marketing. Like there, you can't, like I understand this, so I can't talk down on it, but from an outside perspective, and if you're looking at it from the other glass, like some people would be like, hey, none of this was organic. People were paying, ShibaDoge was paying these guys thousands of dollars. I mean, we wanted to make sure like that wasn't the case. And I don't know whether that kind of propelled us to 500 million, maybe a billion, who knows? If we took that route, I don't know. I mean, obviously we never explored that, but organically we were able to reach $250 million in market cap.
Let me say this: as the guy that did most of the vaulting before everybody else was vaulting, et cetera, I was at the center of that 250 million with Volt. I can tell you that I have a lot of people who followed me that were in Volt because of me, but I'm that person that never takes advantage of that. I don't talk shit about Volt. I don't disrespect Volt. Like, for example, we did videos together. I'm one of the people that you guys had paid a long time ago. My wallet's open, so everybody can see that, and I put paid promotion in front of everything. So that being the case, some people, like I still talk to people. I don't tell you guys this, but I still have people reach out to me about ShibaDoge. So here's what I would say. I don't think that I would be the reason that you guys would have done more than 60 million. I might have been the reason why people felt comfortable enough to invest longer to give you guys more of an opportunity to make a play or make a move. That's where I think
100%. I agree with that.
I think the marketing value is with somebody like me, because the way I like to do it is I like to do this every day. I have a stream at 8 a.m., I have a stream at 8 p.m., and then I make a daily video about my partners, right? Those help people cope with what's going on in the market. Like, let's say you guys dip 10% and people are like, oh my God, what's going on? I have no idea. Well, I'm here to tell you what's going on, and I'm here to reassure you that nothing has changed. This is a market condition. This is the reason that it's not happening the way that you want. And that helps people. And that's what I agree.
And it also helps people in the due diligence part of things too, where it's like, for example, people go on YouTube and they type in, let's say ShibaDoge, right? They want to see a video of ShibaDoge because it's their first time doing due diligence on the project. And they see somebody talking about it, whether it's someone who has 1 million followers or whether it's someone who has 100 followers, it doesn't matter. What they want is like somebody else to talk about it so that they can get a little bit of research, or maybe they think something and they want to hear somebody else say the same thing that they're thinking to give them reassurance on like, hey, okay, yeah, this is what I was thinking and this guy thinks the same, so cool, like I'm going to go ahead and buy this project, or you know what, I'm going to go ahead and avoid this project, whatever the case. So exactly. It's exactly the point is there's exposure, it's marketing. Like a lot of people don't understand that and a lot of people do, but what this whole sector revolves around at the end of the day is not only the tech that's being built, but the way that it's marketed. Because I could build the most innovative thing in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then is it the most innovative thing in the world? No, it sucks. It's nothing. So, I mean, it's people
nothing you can build in this space right now is going to do very much. I mean, that's the sad part of this market. The best you can hope for is what we're all looking for is we're looking for new investors. There are no new investors. What we're looking at, let me rephrase that. there are slowly but surely some people who onboard themselves and say, hey, I'm going to try out crypto. They always say, by the dip, it's on a dip. Why don't I take a shot? So there's always going to be those people that onboard. But generally speaking, all you're doing is a transfer. I had a conversation the other day with Voltoshi. I mean, again, he's still a friend of mine, so I'm still trying to help where I can. And I made some suggestions to him on some stuff that should be done. And he's like, Jesus Christ, like, why did nobody think of this? You know what I mean? Like this, there's because, you know, you're in a game, and you're in a game with, I mean, what, 15, 20, you're in a game with 20,000 other cryptos. Most of them inactive, but some of them active. And some of them actively trying to, not the token themselves, not you guys yourselves, but the investors, they're trying to get their friends who are in other tokens to move their money from there over to your token, right? That's the game that we're playing. The people who are savvy at that and can, you know, infiltrate markets. Like, for example, somebody partners with me, you're basically infiltrating that Volt market, right? You're the people who normally watch me because of Volt, or that normally watch me because of Ben, or that normally watch me because of Pepe, or that normally watch me because of stuff that I do. They're going to hear me talking about this token. And then suddenly people who previously would not normally have invested in you because they didn't hear about you are going to be invested. Like, that's, you know, that's kind of the thing that I offer in that position, in that spot. And that's what we're doing right now, is we're PvPing against each other in this space for everybody's money. And then, you know, tokens have to decide, like, is it worth it to draw in some people from this other token because now this person's talking clean about it, where he really wasn't talking about it at all a month ago, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot going on in this space where you're going to battle against other people, whether you like it or not. And you can say, well, we all want to get along. Fuck that. This is about you providing the best value to your investors. And at the end of the day, at some point, even if it's not right now, even if everybody is kumbaya and everything's cool, at some point they're going to be like, hey man, why the fuck is what is this dumbass thing, what is this stupid thing called, oh yeah, Pepe, why the hell does Pepe have a $400 million market cap and we have a $50 million market cap? What kind of bullshit is that? And you don't have an explanation because you can't explain. Like, that's just a moment in time, a magical moment. But, you know, like those people will eventually turn on you because they want to be stimulated. And as a developer, you have to provide that stimulation. And that's what marketing does.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that statement, man. And one thing that we've done from the very start, from the very get-go, to kind of like combat that, where people have that mentality of like, hey, the only thing that matters is market cap. Like, well, obviously when we first launched, like, that's what everybody's concern was. The only thing that matters is market cap, and are we able to get X amount of volume and X amount of people every day? That's obviously what everybody starts off with. But we, in our community, we do AMAs every single week, where, you know, there isn't many communities out there that do that. And we've done it every single week since we've launched. And so, you know, like, I create a very, like, personal, not a personal relationship, but people know me for who I am, right? At this point, they know who I am. They don't just know the business side of me. They don't just know the ShibaDoge side of me. At this point, a lot of people get a good idea of what I'm about, my morals, my values, and things like that. So that in itself combats a lot of that FUD, in a sense, because not only do people get a sense of relief knowing, like, hey, you know, Leo's not out there trying to steal investors from Volt, or Leo's not out there trying to steal investors from all these new projects that are coming out. Leo is, you know, and the whole team, not just Leo, but everybody is, you know, hyper-focused on our goals. We know what we want to do. Whether we achieve our goals tomorrow or whether we achieve them in a decade, you know, for me, it doesn't matter as long as we achieve them. And we're just creating a massive community of people who are learning and growing in the process of it, right? So that's what ShibaDoge has been doing, and we're accomplishing it at a pretty good rate. Obviously, the market hit us like a truck, but, you know, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and we're learning every day from all of this stuff that's happening too. And honestly, we're coming up with some pretty cool solutions that we'd like to kind of implement in the future. Right now, we're working on something that I want to kind of like announce within the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes. But excuse me. But yeah, man. I mean, I think we're just gonna have to keep doing what we're doing, because a lot of projects who kind of like launched around the same time we did, they're gone. They're nowhere to be seen. For us, nothing has changed other than obviously the market's doing what they're doing, but nothing's changed for us. We're still cooking. We're still kicking full force.
Yeah, you guys have been able to carve out a space in the market that other people just simply have not been able to carve out. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I really liked the entire burn thing. You know, that was really, and you know, I know that there's other tokens that do this stuff, but like that was innovative at the time. Now it's very tough to sustain that, and I know that, you know, after a nice little, I mean, like I'll tell you, I put 1 ETH in and I pulled 4 ETH out in, I want to say like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So like that was a perfect launch. That was a great play. It was an easy win. You know, that was the market at its finest at that point.
I don't know if you remember, but we had like 2,500 people in our Telegram voice chat waiting for it to launch for like 2 days.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in there. Like I was like, holy shit! Like this is gonna be something. Now it's very tough to maintain, because the hard part is once you get past, once you get past the initial, then you have to deal with the day to day, right? And that's where everything starts to break down in this market. Is the day to day. People don't want to deal with all of that. They just want to come back when it's $1 billion. You know.
Yeah.
So that's where everything breaks down in this market.
Hey man, yeah. At the end of the day, the people who weather the storm and outlast the times where other people are impatient then can't outlast, those are the true winners. Those are the people. Look, for me, for example, like my biggest win is Shiba Inu, and the first few $1,000s I put into Shiba Inu, it literally turned into the amount where I could have probably went to a drive-through and had to put on a couple dollars on top of it to get a meal, right? Like it turned to nothing. It turned to dust.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I could have just gave up on it, but I doubled down, right? I put another few $1,000s into it, and it literally turned into the best choice I've ever made in my life, right? So, I mean, nobody could have told me that that's going to happen. I wouldn't even believe it if they told me. It just, you never know what the future holds for you. It just, patience always pays, whether it pays a lot or whether it pays a little, or whether it pays you in a way where you don't like it. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact of the matter is patience always pays something.
You know, what's funny about the whole thing is, what people, they lose sight of this because it doesn't matter right now, because everybody's feeling the pain of everything that's happened in this market. But at some point, those tokens are never coming back.
Yeah.
You know, when business starts to pick up, and it will pick up, even if we don't feel it now. When business starts to pick up, then ShibaDoge starts to run again. The burn starts to run again. It starts to reduce its supply. It starts to reduce the supply of ShibaDoge. It's still a DAO, right? I mean, so you're still voting on whether to burn extra tokens, right?
So check it out. Like that's one of the big things that we're working on. One of the big things that we're going to be changing is we're removing that whole DAO feature thing of it. And the reason why we're removing that whole DAO thing is because they're like we were talking about bad actors in the space, right? There are a lot of bad actors in the space, and a lot of people can actually put their brains together and manipulate the DAO in a way where a lot of that money goes into projects or in people's pockets that are just out there trying to scam people, right? We don't want to have other people, be a part of something that's going into the pockets of bad actors, as far as people coming in and manipulating those votes for the DAO and whatnot. So Burn is being repurposed and redesigned for a new path. We wanted to already have it kind of fully announced and all that for a couple of months, but it honestly is taking a little bit longer than expected. But the whole like roadmap, everything is being redesigned. I mean, it's still going to have the burn aspect where it's the most deflationary token out there. It's still going to be on deflationary.com, which we own deflationary.com. It's still going to have its core values, but that whole direction that we wanted to go with like burning other projects and stuff based on DAO votes, that's being changed up, and then new features are going to be reintroduced. But we're not doing a relaunch or anything like that. It'll be like a grand opening, but we won't do a relaunch because we never like doing that. We never like moving liquidity out, V2s, things like that. That's not us. We don't do that. So it'll be a grand opening where we'll like have a nice little marketing push to it, and some new developments and some new features that we'll be pushing out. But yeah, man, I mean, there's still a lot to look forward to. And we're also working on something new as well that, like I said, we're going to be announcing pretty soon. So, things are looking up for ShibaDoge in the sense where it's like we're still working towards our goals, and we're still being creative, and we're still, our juices are still flowing like they were back when we first launched. It's not like anything slowed down for us. The only thing is, right now we're a little bit more conservative with what we're putting out, because obviously the markets are not the best. So we want to get the best value of everything that we release. So sometimes we bite our tongue, even though there's something that we want to put out there.
You have to
bite our tongue, just wait for a better opportunity for it to come out. Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you something that happened the other day. Ridiculous, just crazy. I'm friends with the cult people. I talk crazy shit about the cult, by the way, because a long time ago I did a video and I said that because they were doing what I said, right? They were manipulating the DAO, and the first, I think they were called guardians. The first guardians of cult were people who were voting to pump their old tokens that they got wrecked on, so that they could go in. Like this was the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever seen, right? So they're out here telling you how the cult, just read, like they're telling me, just read the manifesto, bro. Just read the manifesto. Well, fuck that manifesto. I'm not here for a manifesto. I'm here to tell you exactly what's happening. So I went through all of the proposals that they did, and oh my God, I was right. Like I thought, like this is a goddamn scam, right? And it's not a scam, by the way. I know the people. It's not a scam, but the Guardians were treating it as if it was a scam. They were going into their old tokens where they got wrecked, and they were pumping those up with the DAO funds, and then they were exiting. And here's the thing.
That's what the cult DAO?
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, everybody made money on it. Like I'm not saying that they were seedy in that they were wrecking people. You know what I'm saying? Like what they were doing was, hey, I lost 20 grand on this token, Monkey Inu, right? And I want to get my money back off of it, right? And I'm a guardian over here on cult, so I'm going to propose this, and then everybody on cult is going to jump in and start investing, and then we're going to pump this up with DAO funds, and then I'm going to dump my old wallet too and get a bunch of my money back. And they did that over and over and over again, and I called them on it. So I was like, until you guys fix this shit, you're a scam. Well, a year later, they still hadn't fixed it. And, now, just 2 weeks ago, they had an uproar because what did they decide to do? Because, again, it is a DAO and it is controlled by people who are not looking out for your better interest all the time. They decided they were going to create a MEV bot like Jared from Subway, and they were just going to be scalping money. And some people are really mad about that. They think that MEV bots are stealing. It's stealing ETH from the pool. And like I talked to Jared, and Jared was like, look, somehow or another, money's coming out, right? So if it's not me to an investor, if it's not me taking it, it's somebody who's an investor who buys low and sells high. Somebody's still taking the ETH. Like this just happens to be me, and I'm doing it faster than other people. So don't be mad at me for doing what everybody else is doing just because I'm doing it faster and better. Now, you know what? Fuck you, man. Fair enough.
Yeah. See, that's somebody who doesn't care about their community at the end of the day, if you really think about it. And quite frankly, which is why I think DAOs won't work in the future, is because everybody has a different way of thinking, and everybody has different goals, and everybody has different values and morals. Where, yeah, I mean, you may all be a part of the same community. We have 20,000 people in our Telegram community, whatever. Not everybody thinks alike. I can guarantee you, every single person thinks differently, to a point where how is a DAO going to work, right? How is a DAO going to work? Where at the end of the day, everybody is always, as they should be, focused on their well-being and how they're going to find success in whatever they're doing. Because at the end of the day, obviously, yeah, I do everything in my power, and our team does everything in our power to look out for the community. But we're not there to hold your hand through the whole process by any means. Everybody is still, responsible to do their own research on everything, and everybody is still responsible to do just whatever you're supposed to do. Like, do it yourself. Obviously, I'll guide you and I'll give you guys education on things, but we're not here to hold anyone's hands. And I feel like a DAO is that, right? A DAO is like, if I were to start a DAO right now and push my idea towards people, and if I come on there and say, hey guys, I like this idea, go vote for it, everyone's going to go vote for it, right? They're not going to be like, oh, I don't like it, I'm not going to vote for it. They'll be like, hey, Leo thinks it's a good idea, let's go vote for it. It's not a DAO anymore. It's just a way to prove that people like your idea or people are backing you. And I feel like that's what DAOs are nowadays. When we tried our DAO, we didn't try a DAO. We tried like a proposal system, right, where community members could go up and put their ideas in there, and other people can anonymously go and vote and make that idea pass. We were having people who were like popular in our community, or people who were not popular in our community. People were like downvoting their DAO votes just because they didn't like that guy, or they were voting the bad ideas into favor just because they liked the person who was posting it. So it just doesn't work, man. It doesn't work.
I think the part that doesn't work is allowing the like I was saying, the guardian system in the DAO to have, like, there should be a vetted group of people that are in charge. That's the in charge of making proposals. Like, there should be, like you can't, as a guardian, you can't just put up a proposal. You have to do it through like some kind of guardianship. Like, there should be, like, I think the DAO should be layered so that there is a democratic process in some way, but it can't just be it can't just be this one thing. You know what I mean? Like, you have, you gotta be better than just that what do you call it? You can't be the one that if you have 5 guardians and one of them wants to go pump his bag, then you have to have 4 other guardians who are like, no, fuck that. You know what I mean? You have to have some responsible people that are voted on by the community to be making those decisions, and they should continue to be voted on. That's what you should do. You should have an electoral process, I think, for the guardians for the DAO, and that helps to fix it so that those people are not, you know what I mean? And then, to the best of your ability, dilute the voting power of people so that, you're going to play favorites. People play favorites in all elections, but so understand that people are going to play favorites, but just do your best to provide, because in the end, it should, if you have value to your project, if you have value in what you're doing, then it should work itself out. It really should work itself out.
In a perfect world, it should, and it would. But also, on the contrary, when you only have like 5% or even less than that of the people who are involved in your project voting on those DAO proposals, then it also isn't fair to like the other 95% of people who don't vote, right? So it's not that, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not fair. They don't, they have the opportunity to voice their opinion and voice their vote, but they don't. And you're only going based off of the very small amount of people who do actually vote. So at the end of the day, it's still based off of what majority of people who are active vote, right? And not like the investor who kind of just buys something and checks in on it once every 2 weeks. You get what I'm saying? Like there are people like that. There are a lot of people like that. I'm like that too. Like I'll buy something and I won't look at it for months. I'll check back in. I'll be like, oh shoot, let me go see how this is doing. So yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of improvement that needs to happen in this space, and I think
anybody checking their bags. Anybody checking their bags in a bear market deserves to get rugged.
Exactly. Yeah.
True.
No, nobody deserves to get rugged. I won't agree with you on that. That should.
No, they don't deserve to get rugged.
Yeah,
but it's funny as fuck when I say it, though.
It did make me laugh. So, hey, but Bleeves, let's go ahead and wrap this up, my man. I just followed you with my Leo account on Twitter. I'm gonna send you a DM probably in the next couple of days. There's some things we can talk about, especially like with this new thing that I told you we're working on. So I'll keep you in the loop, and I'll let you know when we're ready to like present all that stuff. And maybe we can do this more often. And let me know what that event with BitBoy that you were going to be attending, and I'll make sure to share that with my community so they can tune in and check you out. So
yeah,
all right, cool.
Guys, can you guys just go and follow Bleeves, guys? Just go and click on his display picture and just follow him. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bleeves, man. Nice to see you, man. It's always a pleasure to hear you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Thanks
for having me in.
For sure, man. We'll for sure do this again one time in the future. But regardless, I'm gonna be in touch with you. Like I said, I follow you on Twitter, so I'll send you a DM here probably in the next couple of days.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, man, I want to thank you again for your time. I had a pretty meaningful conversation. I mean, we talked about some pretty cool things, some important things, and I mean, we did debate on a couple of things, so it was pretty interesting. I like your take on a lot of things. So we'll see how everything plays out in the next few weeks, as far as like all of these lawsuits and all this other mumbo jumbo that's going on, and at least it's some excitement for the space in a sense, even though it's not the best type of excitement. But we'll see what's going on with that. Guys, with all that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you guys have any questions following this, just ask me in Telegram, tag me, and I'll answer you guys in there. I'm going to be signing out. As always, if you miss Shiba, that sucks. If you miss Doge, that also sucks. If you miss ShibaDoge, then unfortunately, you suck. If you have anything that you want to sign off with, if you want to plug your Twitter, YouTube, whatever, anything, feel free to do so now. I know we only have like 30-some people in here left at the moment, but still, this is all being recorded, and it'll be uploaded to our YouTube as well.
Yeah, guys, if you want to follow me, it's Bleeves Crypto everywhere. If you want to talk to me on Telegram, it's at Bleeves. Other than that, I'm live 8 a.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. You can come check it out. I cover a broad topic of market sentiments. If you start mentioning your project inside my live streams, and we start talking about it. So if you're into being updated on the news and stuff like that, then just come check it out.
My man. Thank you. Appreciate your time, brother. And we'll be in touch soon. Have a good day, everybody.
Talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye, guys.